Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. For those of you that might be new to the channel, my name is Tim. This is Freight Master Resources, where we provide tips, tools, resources, industry news to help you grow and be more successful in the industry as a freight carrier, a freight broker, freight agent, right? That being said, we'll kind of get into it. Before I begin, what are your thoughts? And please leave me a comment down below. What are your thoughts on working with businesses located outside of the U.S.? And that's something that we've kind of touched on in the past. And this is kind of going to give you some more insight into how much or how many companies are, working from that are located outside the U.S. that are doing business here in our industry in the U.S. Right? I got a little I don't know, but you get my point, right? So yeah, it's there's no real recourse if say a broker located in Pakistan or something decides to cut bait and run. What are your options, right? For you as a freight carrier, you can go after the shipper, right? But all it does is it further hurts our industry, right? At least in my humble opinion. But again, let me know your thoughts on, working with companies located outside of the U.S., whether they're independent dispatch services, brokers, or even carriers, right? Their main location is outside the U.S., even though they've maybe got trucks here, and things. We've kind of seen that in the past where, something happened with driver getting in a very bad accident. There was result to death, and the company owner just, and kind of left the driver holding the bag, just as a quick example. But yeah, again, let me know your thoughts. And one other thing before I forget, the gentleman who commented on the hot shot video, you commented that there was new requirements and that there would no longer be non-CDL. And so I've tried to find it. I cannot find it. If you have a link that you could provide me or any kind of information, so that I could go over that, because I do feel like if this is legit, then this is something that maybe would be beneficial to some of you and myself as well, because again, I hadn't heard about it. Maybe it slipped through the cracks there, but feel free to email me, freightmasterresources@gmail.com. Okay. All right, let's get into it. So basically we're going to go over the top 10 DAT traffic by country, right? And analyzing who accesses, popular websites like DAT can kind of give us some insights into where people are located, how, their traffic has shifted over the last 3 months, and, kind of who we're working with, right? So we're going to dive kind of deep into, which countries access DAT and how load board website traffic has changed over the last 3 months. Okay. The United States is one of the few countries where domestic logistic operations are heavily outsourced to other nations, right? This is just another thing as a quick side note, whether it's manufacturing, customer service, IT support, whatever, everything's being outsourced, right? And again, even in our industry, several factors contributed to this trend. The U.S. is the wealthiest country, making it an attractive market. Agree, disagree with that. Our free society and lighter transportation regulations make outsourcing easier. U.S. companies save on cost by hiring overseas talent. I actually have some of my own customers that outsource, to other countries, and I basically deal with them. And it is quite a headache. I end up spending on average 70% more time working on a single one of their loads, right? And they're not a high volume shipper or anything, but they'll send over, just as an example, a load and say, hey, I've got a load picking up in Tulsa that's got to go to San Diego or something. It's a partial. Can you give me a quote? Anybody else see what's wrong with that? How can I provide a quote if I don't know the weight? If I don't know, how many pallets it's going to be? Do we need a lift gate? Because sometimes these loads have limited access, so I have to get in a straight truck in there. All of these different factors and things that are involved. But it's like pulling teeth trying to get the rest of that pertinent information that I need to properly quote that customer, right? And they just don't see it. In fact, I've even sent over emails with outlines of everything that I need, whether it's full truckload, partial, LTL, etc. And every single time, every single email, it's like pulling teeth. So this is one of the problems that I'm finding with working with companies outside the U.S. I'm not saying that all of them are like that, so don't beat me up. Just in my personal experience, this is what I've dealt with. Okay. Before the pandemic, most outsourcing was done by trucking companies with Eastern European roots, offering offices in their home countries. However, during the pandemic, U.S. freight-based brokerages began outsourcing en masse, particular roles like tracking and carrier sales. Okay. Analyzing who accesses popular websites like DAT helps you understand where people are located and how traffic patterns have shifted in the past few months, which, by the way, they are still the #1 load board, and we're going to go over those stats here shortly. So if you don't already have DAT, again, they're the largest, most popular used load board out there. They did provide us with a link for 10% off of your subscription as a new sign up for the first 12 months, which, if you remember, they at one point in time they were offering like your first 30 days free. They stopped that in part due to fraud. But the other thing about this is that over the course of, regardless of what plan you choose, the 10% off over the course of your first 12 months, you actually end up saving more than you would on the free month, right? So long term, you end up saving more money. Okay, moving on. Over the last 3 months, these countries have pushed the most traffic toward DAT. The first number shows each traffic share, and the number in parentheses, we're not gonna, you guys can't see this, but the top 10 are, of course, the US with 84.98%. Canada ranks #2 at 2.99%. India came in third with 1.85%. Macedonia, Lithuania, Pakistan, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Philippines, and Honduras came in 10th. Okay, so the DAT traffic 3-month trend, I have a chart here, which I probably should have tried to screen share that. Maybe I can't. Well, I'll just go over it. I might include it in the community tab later. But basically, the chart shows the top 5 countries with the largest increases and decreases in website traffic to DAT. Now, this is going to be a little bit surprising to you. Okay, this is one of the things that grabbed my attention looking at this over the last 3 months. There's been some, it shows the positive changes and the negative changes. So Macedonia came in first with the largest increase of 39.9%. Ukraine came in second with 21.4%. Pakistan at 17.4%. Lithuania at 16.7%, and Philippines at 8.7%. These are countries with the highest increases in traffic to DAT, right? Notice I did not mention the US in that. Now we're going to talk about those countries that have seen decreases in traffic to DAT. #1 being Uzbekistan, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Honduras, Canada, India, and finally, the U.S. with a 13.7% drop in traffic to DAT. Now, I think that probably this is in part to, fewer new MC registrations as of late, as we're starting to find balance in the industry, as well as exits kind of slowing down but still happening. So it sort of makes sense to me that we would see a slight drop in traffic to websites like DAT. So again, Macedonia, Ukraine, Pakistan, Lithuania, and the Philippines saw traffic spikes, while Uzbekistan, Honduras, Canada, India, and the U.S. experienced decline. So in March, DAT actually banned access in Serbia shortly after they had a visit there. So since then, users in Serbia have been using VPNs to actually be able to access the platform. Okay, so they're kind of skirting around things with a VPN. If Serbia were allowed to use DAT without VPNs, it would likely rank in the top 5 countries by traffic. Okay, so that's another note to kind of point out there. Sorry, I lost my screen jumped on me here as I'm kind of trying to pull this up for you. So as far as load board traffic, probably the top 3 would be DAT, Truck Stop, and 123 load board. Okay, and from July to September of this year, they all saw a bit of a decline in traffic, with 123 load board dropping the utmost, but the number of visits in the millions from July through September, DAT had 14.65 million. DAT only had 4 million, and 123 load board had 0.19 million. Okay, so basically DAT and 123 load board saw some traffic decline, while Truck Stop remained relatively stable with almost no decline. But there again, nowhere near the traffic, even with them remaining somewhat stable. They're like a little under a third of the amount of traffic that DAT gets. So there again, if you're a broker, it would behoove you, at least in my humble opinion, to have DAT if you don't already have it. If you're a carrier wanting loads, again, DAT, right? Clearly, the traffic shows us that that's where most loads are being posted and sought after, right, with that volume of traffic. So these trends can be due to various factors, including the closure of companies, leading to reduced traffic, some companies canceling their subscriptions, seasonal changes affecting overall usage, things like this, right? But overall, again, DAT remaining, sort of the king of kings as far as load boards go. So again, let me know your thoughts on this. I know that, this really wasn't focused on, doing business with countries, or those entities based outside of the U.S. But what are your thoughts on that, right? To me, I think just in my mind, I'm very pro-American, right? I love my country, but I truly feel that, if you're going to do business in a country, you should be based there, right? It'd be no different than me wanting to do business in France, right? In their logistics industry, I should have an office in France, right? I would expect the same rules to apply to me, right? But I digress. Anywho, if you guys do me a favor, hit that thumbs up, hit that like notification. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you like my content. I'm sorry I hadn't been on last day or two. I've been kind of battling a little bit of a cold, if you can kind of tell. It sort of had me down there for a little bit, and it was a struggle trying to get through the day, but I am starting to feel a little bit better now. So I wanted to jump on and provide everybody with an update. Again, please like, share, subscribe. It does me a solid. Really helps out the channel and kind of helps keep us going. So I hope everybody's having a great day. We're almost to the weekend, everybody. And as always, be kind to one another. Bye-bye now.